Okay, getting into the normal stuff for when you first get home. Something I used a lot that is never mentioned that I thought was incredibly helpful was I had an Apple Watch. So you don't need an Apple Watch, but anything with a timer, so like your phone, a little alarm clock. For me, the Apple Watch was handy. I would try to set it for every couple of hours just so that it would vibrate and alert me like right before the baby was gonna wake up so that I could get her bottle ready and wake up before she did. My husband and I were in the nursery with her. Our master bedroom was not set yet. So we were all sharing a very small bedroom for the first like 6 months, and it was rough. So we used a baby swing constantly. We were given a hand-me-down. It was the only thing aside from my arms that we could set the baby in. Knew she was safe and she was going to sleep and not cry. We used that probably up until she was around 3 months old. Around 3 months old, she started really liking the bouncer better because she had colic. She needed to kind of be propped up all the time, but she wanted constant movement. So the swing up until around 3 months, and then we used a little bouncer, like the vibrating seat thingy. Highly recommend. You don't need to spend a lot of money on them. We got very affordable ones or hand-me-downs, and they worked fantastic for us up until my daughter developed He-Man strength and started grabbing the bottom of the bouncer and rolling out of it. My kid's a freak of nature. Next thing we used a lot was the little seated walker thingies. That was also super handy. It gave my daughter a little more stability so that she could kind of sit and be propped up and practice sitting and then swinging her legs. And it kind of acted like a bumper car because it had the big round base, so she would try to walk, and then if she was going to bump into furniture or something, it would kind of hold her back. It was a godsend until she inevitably started grabbing furniture and pulling herself out of it again because I birthed Tarzan, apparently. Something that we really didn't need was fancy baby bottles. My daughter had colic, as I mentioned. We had the Avent Phillips anti-colic bottles, which we used a lot up until she was around 3 months, but then when she was starting to drink bottles more regularly, I switched to the cheapy Even Flow bottles, and she loved those. And we used those up until she was about 6 months old, and then she switched to a straw sippy cup. Again, that's very early. It was something where it started helping with the colic, and she could suck from a straw very easily, so I just went with it. Something else I was very lucky to not need was a bottle warmer. I had one on my registry and I ended up returning it. So initially I was planning on breastfeeding. That did not work out. We had to put her on soy-based formula, and she's perfectly healthy. She can have lactose now. We don't have food allergies or anything now, but when she was a newborn, it was very rough. So I had the bottle warmer just in case. She hated it, and to this day, she does not like warm food. It's very weird. She prefers her food room temperature or cold, and for that reason, we didn't need a bottle warmer. If you have a microwave, you're golden. At the time when I was pregnant, I didn't have a microwave. I needed a way to warm up bottles, so we had the bottle warmer, just didn't use it. Because of that, I would recommend having a lunchbox and ice pack on hand. One of the ways that I saved a lot of time during nighttime feedings was I would pre-mix her formula bottles And because she liked them cold, I would just stick them in a lunchbox with an ice pack, bring them up to our bedroom so I wouldn't have to go downstairs or anything. And when it was feeding time, just take the bottle, shake it up, and you're done. And it was super easy, and I highly recommend it. And I still use the same lunchbox now for her snacks, so it was well worth the $12 investment. So these are so underestimated, undervalued, and they are gold. I got the Simple Modern reusable food pouches. I got them for making pureed food, but even though we are two, we still use them for things like applesauce, yogurt, smoothies. They freeze phenomenally. You don't really need to reheat them. Like I said, my daughter didn't like warm food, so if there was a puree or something that I wanted to try to warm up, just run it under warm water or boil some water in your tea kettle and then like steep the pouch in the water until it warms up. But I love these. They're fantastic. They freeze, they wash easy. I've had the same bunch since she was around 6 months old. They're still going strong, and I recommend them to everybody. You can even use them as ice packs. All right, they're just amazing. Get them, you won't regret it. Something that I really thought we would need because I was watching so many baby-led weaning videos was the little silicone spoons with the little stoppers so that they can go to self-feed and stab their throats. For some reason in my head, I thought she was going to take a spoon and just go. Breaking news, that didn't happen, not even once. I got the spoons kind of late. I was dead set on getting them. I thought we were going to need them. She used them maybe 4 times. Alright, we got so used to the little Munchkin long spoons. We barely used these, and when she started feeding, she was using her hands more like an actual like toddler fork. The silicone is great if they have sensitive gums, but we just used a regular spoon. My daughter's alive, she's happy. She still uses a spoon. You don't necessarily need the products that Instagram and everything is telling you that you need for like a good natural development with food. You just don't. Something we did use that's very popular in the baby feeding area are silicone plates. My stepmom got me these from Wee Sprouts. We still love them. They suction really good right onto the high chair tray, and now we just use them on the table tray. They have the little dividers so that nothing's touching if your kiddo is freaked out by food touching. They work fantastic for soups, like bites, whatever you're doing. They work great. They are dishwasher safe. And if after like 3 months maybe, they'll start to get really like soapy smelling, so I just throw them in the oven on low, like 200 for 30 minutes, and that helps cook off like whatever chemical or food smells linger. So I regularly do that. But I love the Wee Sprouts. They're fantastic, and the ones we have came with little lids that go on top, so if your kiddo doesn't eat all their food, there's already a lid to store it. Something I got that we used a lot but you don't necessarily need is the baby bullet to blend purees. It's a good product. I would say it's a little gimmicky, okay? It's cute, it's easy to use. A normal blender works exactly the same. You're paying more for the aesthetic, unfortunately. I got mine at Walmart on clearance. I think it was like $25 instead of $75 or whatever the price was originally, so that is why I bought it. And it came with the little storage cups and everything, which was awesome. But when you puree and make your own baby food, it has to be eaten very quickly. And you don't want to freeze it in those little cups that they gave because they're not freezer friendly. So I ended up just using those little pouches. Or even I would get ice cube trays and just pour my purees into the ice cube trays and feed them, and not feed them, freeze them. I would freeze my purees in the little ice cube trays, and that's what we did. The cups are cute, but I don't know, there are other things you could spend your money on. The baby bullet, I think, was a little overhyped. Going on a weird little side note, I did not exclusively make all of my baby food. There are some people who do, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I was doing that more out of a budgeting standpoint. So for us, it was cheaper and easier for me to just blend whatever fruits and veggies we had on hand and introduce those purees to my daughter in that manner. Some stuff we would get just out of the garden, or my in-laws would give us, so like carrots, peas, broccoli, stuff like that. I would just puree myself. I just used a little bit of water. I would steam it. If I steamed something, I would use the water that I steamed the vegetable in, so that way we were still getting more nutrients. It was more budget friendly. So that is why I was so into the DIY food stuff. It was a budget standpoint for me. There were some things that my daughter preferred store-bought, like the little Gerber green beans. Some foods, there's just a texture thing that's better with the pre-made stuff. Kind of like the difference between when you have a canned food versus a fresh food. Every baby is different. I would recommend, if you find something that your child really, really likes, like she loved sweet potatoes. We were going nuts buying Gerber sweet potatoes, and then I was like, I can just get a bag of sweet potatoes and do it myself. And that is what I did. It saved me a lot of money. So something else you can do when your kid starts to get a little bit older, if you are on a super tight budget, I used to take normal canned soups, like the Progresso soups, like chowders, things like that, and I would mix it with a tiny bit of instant mashed potato to kind of thicken it, and I would give it to her like that. Of course, make sure that the veggies are small enough so they're not going to choke or anything. But once she was at that point where we were like biting and chewing more foods, I would use instant mashed potato to thicken stuff. Okay, that might help you out. I hope it does. It really helped us. Sippy cups with straws. So instead of introducing my daughter to sippy cups with the hard spout first, we started using the Munchkin sippy cup, not the one with the weight. So this is funny. Every time I would buy her a sippy cup, I myself would try to use it to see how difficult it was going to be for her to use it. And the sippy cup with the little weight, no bueno, okay? I could not use it. My daughter was trying to use it and was getting so frustrated and angry. So I'm like, what is going on with this? So I tried it and I could barely get water out. So my review is on Amazon of this cup. I'm like, it's so leak proof. I can't use it, neither can my kid. So anyway, I taught her how to use this sippy cup I'll show you here, and we went on a trip when she was around 7 months old, and that's what we brought. We didn't bring any bottles, and we didn't need them. We completely got rid of the bottle by 7 months, and we're exclusively using these cups. I did later on introduce her to the hard spout ones, but I waited until her teeth came in, and she was a little more gentle because I was just with coordination. I didn't want her bashing her teeth with this hard plastic. So we use these straw cups. We also really like the Munchkin 360 cup. That's what we've been using to really teach her how to like drink like a big kid. And now she can do that. We still spill. So if she's gonna use like an adult cup, nowhere near the carpet, but in general, the Munchkin cups are really good. All right. Next up is the Haka Pop Maker thing. I will show a picture. My best friend Danny sent me this. My daughter started having teething pain really early, so I used to take her formula or even like Greek yogurt and just freeze it in this little thing and give it to her as like a pacifier. And that's actually how I started introducing her to juice. I would give it to her with this thing. It was nice and soothing on her gums. She could chew on the handle. We used that so much. That was very good to have. Highly recommend that. For bathing, we used a blow-up tub. One of my friends gave us like the hard plastic chair thing, but it didn't quite fit in our bathtub. We have an old tiny bathtub. So I used this blow-up one up until she was big enough to jump and pop it. Worked fantastic. Once we hit the point where she popped it, she was good enough to just sit in the normal bathtub. I put a little bath mat down. We didn't need a chair or anything. I've always just been in the bathroom with her, and that's what we did. I didn't buy the fancy toddler bathing chair, the fancy toddler shower stuff. I just used what we had. She's fine. I was a little kid and I didn't have the fancy elephant shower head thing. We just have the little whale on the spout so she can't hit her head and hurt herself. And then we have a little cup to rinse, and that is what we use. All right, it doesn't have to be expensive for it to work. Hooded towels. So this was something I really thought that we needed. It was like drilled into my head. Babies hate the cold. Don't get them wet. They need these hooded towels. We didn't use them. We used them for the first like 3 months, and then my husband was at a store and they had beach towels out, and he got her like a unicorn beach towel, and that was all she wanted to use after that. We still have it. I can sometimes get her to just use a normal towel. It has to be a purple towel. She will accept nothing except this giant unicorn beach towel or a purple towel. So the hooded little infant towels, although helpful, you don't need them. If you get them, that's awesome. If you don't get them off of your registry, it's not a big deal. Your baby just wants to be warm after a bath. So any fluffy warm towel will do. Don't panic. Straight jackets for babies, aka swaddles. We went on a journey with those. My daughter really liked the little muslin cotton blankets. We still use them. That is her baby banks. Up until she could pull out of and break her swaddle, that's what we used, and she still loves those. Just to carry around as her blankie. We tried all of them. The only one she liked was the Dream Baby one. I'll insert a picture. It's the one where it keeps their little arms up. So she had a very, very, very active startle reflex, you know, where they like that constantly throughout the night and they give you heart failure. That's what mine did. So we had to find a way to keep her little arms restrained so she wouldn't do that, because she would be sound asleep and then just be like, constantly. It was strange. I didn't know that was a normal thing, so finding that out was great. but we went through a million swaddles. That's the one we liked. And then when she was a little too big and didn't need her arms restraint, we moved on to the next one that was just like a tank top that kind of hugged her. Same thing. And here's a hack. If you do not have money, you can buy it at Target, and I believe they still allow you to do this. You keep your receipt, keep the original box. You can return the item even if it's used, if it's within, I want to say, like a year. It's either 90 days or a year. I'll double check. But it was just long enough so that if she outgrew a size, I could exchange it for the next size up that we needed. And I did that with the swaddles up until she was done using them. We tried the magic suit and it didn't work. She got right out of it. We tried the Halo sleep sacks. She hated them. We tried everything and that was the only thing that worked. It was insanely expensive, but it's well worth the investment. And if you can catch that return policy and exchange it once they outgrow the size, you're good. Changing pads. So I kept seeing a lot of people recommend the peanut wipe down changing pad thing, and I did not get that. I was fortunate enough where one of my friends who had many children before me handed me down her old changing pad, and it was just a deep changing pad with like a high wall so they can't like roll over. And I used it on my changing table for a while, but I found out a trick. My strange and unusual daughter enjoyed sleeping on it. So we used to bring it with us everywhere we went. If we went downstairs to watch a movie, we'd put it on the floor and plop her down on it and she would take a nap. Go over to a friend's house, bring the pack and play and put this stupid changing pad in, she'd sleep. I think it was a thing where she liked it because she couldn't roll over, so she felt like safe and stable, and we could keep an eye on her. She was safe. There was no like risk of her rolling over and suffocating or anything. Obviously, do whatever you're comfortable doing. For us, that worked, and we used it up until she started rolling over. Stroller. So a stroller is something where I wanted one, but I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it because we're not like a super active family. I'm active, but like we aren't like going out constantly to the point where we would need a stroller. So I got this one, which I loved. I will link it above. It was like the koala care, like easy open stroller, and I started using it when she was, I want to say, like a couple weeks old, because I started going on walks right after I had her. But the stroller was awesome. It grew with her really good. The only thing was we used it up until Halloween of last year. And for my daughter, once she figured out how to walk, it didn't matter how long we were going to be walking. She wanted to walk, does not want to be seated. Even today, if we go to the grocery store or something, it is a fight to get her to sit in the shopping cart. She wants to walk. When we go on, like, when we go to, like, the carnival, or our town will do a lot of, like, local farmers markets and things like that, she wants to hold your hand and walk, or she wants to be carried. So I would recommend a stroller. I would not recommend buying a super fancy expensive stroller, because if your kid is like mine and they don't want to be seated and buckled in, it's a waste of money. She'll occasionally sit in a wagon if we pull her around in a wagon, or if we're with friends and their kids are sitting in a wagon. But in general, I have not used a stroller in like a year and 9 months now. Mini things for the diaper bags. So like your miniature diaper cream and stuff like that, miniature, like travel, baby, Tylenol and stuff, I don't use. I got stuff at my baby shower that I threw in the diaper bag and I just used it regularly. So instead of buying multiples of products, I just buy like a normal Tylenol bottle, normal gas drops, whatever it was. And every day I would put it in my bag and go. We did not go out very often. Many of you know this, but those of you who don't, we got rid of my car shortly after I had my daughter. So she and I are usually at home. So anytime that we would go out, even when I still had my car, I would check the weather and pack her spare outfits based on the weather. If she was catching a cold, I would always have her medicine in the bag. I didn't worry so much about having things at all times and having to check it every couple of months for expirations. I just packed for that day. When I got home, I would empty the bag. That's what I've done, and that's still what I do. So this is something I initially was completely repulsed by, but it came in handy, and I literally drove over an hour to get one because she was sick and I didn't know what to do. That is the Nose Frida. So the hospital gives you the little ball syringe aspirator. That's fantastic when they are first born. When they have that first cold and they are really congested, you want to be able to really suck everything out. So we got her the Nose Frida. It is like a little tube with a long pipe and you suck. It's disgusting. You suck the gunk out of their face. Okay, it's something I never thought I'd do. I never thought I'd want a fancy curly strut to suck crap out of my kid's face. But damn it, you love them so much when they're that uncomfortable, you don't care. There's a little filter in it. I honestly don't know how good it works, but in my opinion, if I'm at home with a little baby, I'm gonna get whatever sickness they have in that. Whoops, we stopped filming. I always catch whatever my daughter has anyway, so I didn't care. I would still spray Lysol on it and clean everything, but it saved us many sinus infections. My doctor said that had I not been able to clear everything out, she would have gotten more congested and more sick. And the Nose Frida, if you are an expecting mother, you know someone who is, it makes a fantastic gift, and give them the extra filters. All right, they will appreciate it. And on another snot note, an electric aspirator comes in handy when your baby's Tarzan powers kick in. Once your child is strong enough to fight you and you need multiple people to hold them down to do the Nose Frida, you want an electric aspirator. Okay, you just do. Frida makes one. I've heard fantastic things about it. I could not afford it. We got this cheapy one off of Walmart. It works just fine. It gets the gunk out, and we still are using that. We're starting to get to the point where I can put a tissue on her nose and kind of get stuff out, but she hasn't figured out the blowing aspect. I'm like, blow your nose, and she's like, Mike, yeah, but I want you to blow it out of here, and I don't know how to teach that, and it's frustrating. So an electric aspirator is good. This is a little bougie, but I love it. It is a little spatula to spread diaper cream on. So first off, don't get diaper cream in a tube. All right, it's nearly impossible to get out if you have your baby in fall and winter. It gets so cold in our house that stuff just does not come out of the squeezy tube. All right, I get the big Destin tub. I have this little silicone spatula. Just dip it in, smear the buns, smear wherever they are getting a rash. Easily wipes off. dishwasher safe, easy to travel with, more comfortable for relatives if anyone is babysitting. That way they don't have to physically touch your child. I know my husband's more comfortable using the spatula thing. Someone with fake nails tried to, I want to say it was one of my friends, but she was changing her for me, and just the ease of just not having to scrub diaper cream out from under your nails and stuff. Super helpful. We love it. It's great. You should get it for someone. Alright, they'll appreciate it. We love it. It looks weird. It looks like you're applying frosting on your kid. But it's worth it. Okay? Frost that kid. Starting to lose my voice, so we're gonna wrap this up. I'm sure there are things that I am forgetting about, but just while I was looking through old pictures of my fresh little baby, not fresh, babies are weird when they're first born. They say fresh out of the oven. They look like little old people, okay? Like, I think my cold symptoms are kicking in again. Looking at my little helpless infant growing into a 2-year-old just got me thinking about all the things that I wish I knew as a first-time mom, and all the little things that I thought of, like mixing Greek yogurt with puree to help thicken it up for juice, and I think I'm rambling. Taking instant mashed potatoes and mixing it with canned soup. Like, just, if you're a mom and you are struggling financially, you are doing the best that you can. And all that matters is that your child is happy, healthy, and thriving. Hang in there. You're doing great. You got this, mama.